Welcome back. I've been excited to talk about this film for some time. It was fun doing my homework last night. I will have to confess that this is such a beautiful, poignant film that at some point I had to pull the plug so that I could keep myself together and composed this morning during this interview to talk to this amazing group of people who have chronicled family life, they have chronicled dreams, they have chronicled the hard work that goes along with being able to keep your dreams alive. It's a wonderful story about New York, about family, and also about working together across artificial lines that we are so very conscious of these days in 2017 America that, well, we're not post-racial yet, but films and projects like this, I think, are exactly what we need more of. The film is Quest. The filmmaker is Jonathan Olshefski. I am also joined by PJ, Christineia, and the man, Mr. Quest Rainey. Welcome, good morning, everyone.
Cool.
Great to see
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Jonathan, if you would, I think it's, in some ways, I don't want to start with race, but in researching a lot of the things that have been written already about this film, it is a theme in talking about how this journey that you all were taking together can be judged by other people in a way that can be destructive to what's happening between these human beings here.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about coming together with this family and realizing that you, white guy, had to and were going to tell their story.
Yeah. Well, it was a slow build too with this thing. So it didn't start out that the vision wasn't we're going to go and take this film to Sundance and share the world. It was a small community, little thing, and it really started off with the relationship. It's a relationship before it's a film, and that relationship grew into a really tight friendship even before it became a film. We first met in 2006. I was teaching a photography class in their neighborhood in North Philadelphia. One of my students happened to be Quest's brother, JC, and JC one day was like, hey, you should meet my brother. He runs a music studio out of his house, really cool. And so I was like, sure, let's go, meet, hang out. And we had, sort of a little bit of an awkward initial interaction, but we then reconnected later. They invited me over to the studio to take pictures of the guys to promote, the artists that they had going through there. And, I was just really amazed by the community that he had created, and then learned that he was working a day job delivering papers. And I was like, wow, that seems like so visually interesting. Would you mind if I follow you on your paper route? And so we decided to do this little photo series about the studio life versus sort of the working life. And that was a year and a half of just kind of sleeping over. The paper route, he would leave out at like 3 in the morning, so I was sleeping over in the studio. And we just got to know each other. And then I realized after about a year and a half that maybe a movie, cinema, is a better medium to convey the complexity of kind of what they were doing, the sounds of the studio, the light moving as he's in the truck, during the paper route. And so we made that switch, but it was gonna be a short little film, and so 2007 in December we had our first version. And it was like, oh, there's more to it. It's not totally reflecting what I'd experienced, with them. So let's push a little further. And so 2008 comes around, and Obama is nominated, as the Democratic candidate for president. And so I was with them on election day in 2008. And then it just kept snowballing. Like, oh, we need a little more time. It's not quite there. And then 10 years later, here we are. So but again, it was in terms of the race thing, I think it was a relationship, it was a friendship, and we trust each other. They've taken care of me, and I'm trying to take care of them through the telling of the story and the context we're building around this film to bring good things back to North Philly.
Quest, if you would, talk about just the effort or the journey that you have to take to get comfortable with being a subject, with having a camera on you, and maybe at times I wonder if it seemed always there, omnipresent. What was your initial experience and how did it change over time?
Well, to be honest, surprisingly, you would think that the first time somebody put a camera in your face, you get nervous. But in my case, for some reason, it didn't affect me at all. I was more interested in helping the guys out at the studio. Most of the guys at our studio, not famous, just regular hood dudes, so to speak, around the way. And they were just looking to be part of something. And when Jonathan knocked on my door that day, honestly speaking, you see a white guy, camera. First thing you're thinking, cops. Like, what do you want? Who did what? Who are you looking for?
Right.
But he was with my brother. And, when we talked and we kind of got to know each other, and I invited him in, took some pictures, and the guys were like kind of liking what's going on there. And like, as far as race goes, though, I never saw color with John. Like, of course, the initial open the door, white guy with a camera.
That is a white guy.
But that was it. That's where it stopped at. Actually, and then our relationship built pretty fast because we got to talking about real life issues that were just everyday issues that nobody talked about, I guess. I didn't think my paper route was much anything until I actually started looking at all the people that I meet during this paper route in the different neighborhoods and the places, and it was almost like what I wanted to accomplish at the studio. Like to bring everybody together as one, like to drop all these barriers, to get, stop violence, stop people judging people for who they are, and just accept people for the person that they want to be. As far as John and our relationship, I think like the coolest guy I've ever met in my life. I have a set group of friends. Actually, I used to say like I only have a certain amount of friends because I'm only the people I grew up with. But this guy I felt like I grew up with. I mean, I really feel like John's been there my whole life. I never had to worry about a camera in my face, worried about him taking stories of our lives and putting it out to the world, because actually it was kind of my idea also. Like when we started doing these things, like when situations that occurred and like let's say the downside of I don't want to tell the movie or whatever, but the downside of things, I felt as though I needed it to be captured on film, to be told again, not to be just like said in a folk story or whatever the case may be. I think people really needed to understand how life really is from the dark side or the not so happy side.
The struggles, yeah.
Yeah, so it really worked out. And I'm glad that it made it this far. I'd never in a million years thought it would go no further than our studio in North Philadelphia, on 23rd Street. But here we are.
Here we are with all the great artists, literally of the entire world in film. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
And I am truly amazed.
Ladies, if you would talk a little bit about this passage of time, because I'm guessing that you've sort of been through some life phases while this has been happening. I'm sure you've seen some footage that you're looking back at younger times or whatever, but talk about that experience and this thing of a filmmaker being a constant.
Well, my daughter, PJ right here, was, 7 when he started?
He was 6, yeah.
He's 76. It wasn't that hard, because John's a good guy. He doesn't make us feel uncomfortable. We all watched her grow up in front of our eyes and on the camera. A lot of roller coaster up and downs happened. He just happened to be there for just about all the right times, and it needs to be documented. It shouldn't be forgotten, and some of it shouldn't be repeated.
Well, it was beautifully said. Talk about, if you would, all of you, this journey to come to this place. On one hand, we can say, wow, Sundance Film Festival, it's a huge deal. But I'm kind of more interested and concerned about the emotional journey that you have all taken together to see this film that, if you first glance, is extremely personal. It's home. It's a very small place, and yet, of course, there are these universal themes that we all have. We all have a home, and we all have these universal inclusions of all of our lives.
I think friendship comes in different forms for me. Like, I think that's what it all boils down to. It's like friendship and I won't even say trust, just the ability to embrace people. Forget about what happened in the past and just start anew. Politically, everybody's in an uproar about what's going on. But in reality, it's really about everybody just coming together. Like, I think the nation is actually becoming stronger by the rhetoric that's going on now. And this movie kind of help you see that you don't have to live with the television life, so to speak, that what they show on TV, all the dramatic dramas and stuff like that, where you can, you really have somebody you can talk to at home, you can build with, just to have people sit down at dinner tables and talk and just communicate. That's fine, but take the table away, sit on the floor,
Sure.
Like we love to go in the kids' room, sit on the floor and talk to them, how we say, bust it up,
right?
Talk about this John, that John,
Very cool.
And one thing about, kind of, so like North Philly's, been facing obstacles since before November 2016.
Right.
And I think like the sort of, maybe the crisis or kind of what's going on now is people are paying attention and people are feeling it in this deep way. And then the question is like, so what do we do with these feelings? How do we kind of connect across perceived barriers or whatever? And I would hope that this film could be a catalyst for connections. And it's very personal and intimate, and I think we're anxious. We're really trusting our viewers. We're trusting our audience to kind of take this and receive it as a gift, and then hopefully take it inward and then decide what they want to do with those feelings or those thoughts that they're having. But I think the film is just the starting point. We've spent 10 years for this thing, but this is just the beginning. It's really kind of what happens next that's important.
Right.
My boss is telling me that we got to go to the clip.
All right.
So let's take a little bit of a look at Quest. You guys, I could talk the rest of the hour with y'all. I have many more questions. We have other films and other guests to come. I'm very grateful. PJ, thank you so much. Christineia, Quest,
Thank you.
Jonathan, I can't wait to see this film. Like I say, I knew that I would be all choked up and I would feel it so much this morning. So I look forward to being able to take all of those highs and lows. Jonathan, if you would, tell folks social media stuff, when your premieres are, when your continuing screenings are.
Yeah. So quest-documentary.com is our website. You can follow us on Facebook at Quest the Doc. And then Twitter, the same thing, Quest the Doc. We've got a hashtag QuestDoc. So just come be a part of this. We're going to bring the film into communities in North Philly, communities like North Philly. So come to those screenings too if you're not able to make it out here in Sundance. But if you're here, in Utah right now, come check it out. We're really excited to share this with you.
Quest.
Yes.
That is a name and a theme for this film that continues on, does it not? Quest cannot be ended. No. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm super grateful for it. Have a wonderful festival.
Thank you,
and don't do too much slipping and sliding out there. All right, quick break. More. Wendy's back after this. Stay tuned.